and we're going to get right back into football in a second. But if you're a baseball fan out there, and you're a Giants fan, A's fan, it really don't matter. A bunch of guys that follow the Giants on Twitter. There's a group called Giants Chatter, Giants Cove, if you will. We're all going to meet up 11 o'clock at Balboa Park. Just throw the ball around. Have a little fun. A little meetup before the season ends.
So I may do that because Chaz has been getting up. Baby Chaz has been getting up around 5:30.
Okay.
And I want to shout out the DC Stars Pop Warner team. Pop Warner organization. They play at Jefferson High School, the Jefferson Grizzlies. And my buddy Nance P., my brother.
Yeah.
His son, Fat, plays for the 6 and under team.
Oh.
He's out there playing corner, and he's playing on the line. And they won 18-0.
Wow.
6 and under team against the San Jose Hitmen, right?
Oh.
And look, you know how I am with names, man. I forget names left and right.
Yeah.
But I walk in, and right away there's, morning roast, baby. We better hear about the DC Stars. And I'm like, geez, right? And took Baby Chaz to the game.
No pressure.
No pressure, right? Baby Chaz like, ball. She's having a good time. She's running around. DC Stars and everybody there that supported the morning roast. Met a guy named Brett. I know that name. He went to Sacred Heart Cathedral, class of 2014. He was like, I love what you and Shasky do. You guys do it for the culture. My big tongue and homie. I want to say it starts with an N. We took a selfie. That's my guy. He actually paid for me to get in because they wanted cash. And I was like, well, do you have Venmo? So I was about to Venmo. And he was like, no, I got it. I was like, come on, man. I got you. And he's like, no. What you guys do on the roast, you get me through my day. Him and his wife are listening right now. Please text me the name. French. You know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. He had 2 kids. Played for the 8 and under team and the 10 and under team.
Wow.
And they were some beasts. One's a linebacker. One's a back. I mean, DC Stars got something cooking. They were out there hitting.
I grew up in Excelsior. There's one thing I learned. Do not go head up with any of the Polynesians. No. They will run you over like a rhinoceros.
They had a kid, so now they don't do weight limits in Pop Water anymore.
Yeah, it used to be weights, 110 and under.
Yeah, 110, because I played junior midgets.
Yeah, my brother played for the Seahawks.
Oh, you played for the Seahawks?
Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What year?
This was before, man, this is...
What did you play, Pee-wees or junior midgets?
Talk to my brother. He'll tell you.
Wow, I got to talk to Daly Boy about that.
They used to play at Kimball Park.
Yeah, we practiced at Kimball Park.
But they didn't have the 49ers out at Crocker when he was playing.
No, it was just the Hawks.
It was later.
It was just the Hawks.
Later in life.
When I left Seahawks, then they had the 49ers, and they had the Brown Bombers.
And then they had the San Bruno West Bay Rams or something like that.
The West Bay Rams, yeah. San Bruno Rams / West Bay Rams. Now they got the Pacifica Tiger Sharks.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
DC Stars.
My little cousin Davon played for San Bruno for years. So, yeah, no, it's good to see the kids playing.
Let me say, they had a number 97 on the 8 and under team. This kid, number 97, he was walking by from DC Stars. I said, okay, number 97. This kid may have been $180.
Oh, he's the Danny Almonte of Pop Warner?
They said he was legit 9 years old. This guy's playing D-tackle.
Did he drive himself to the game?
He was one of the captains, right? He was one of the captains, right? This big kid, number 97. He was one of the captains.
He's got an NIL deal to Alabama.
They do the coin toss.
Yeah.
This poor kid, he was towering. It was like me looking down at you, Shasky.
Oh, yeah?
On the football field.
Like that Derrick Henry photo from back in the day?
Yeah, with Mark Ingram.
Yes, exactly. Where it looks like one guy is in 8th grade and the other guy is in the pros.
Dude, I'm telling you, this 97 kid was huge, and he was out there hitting. But they said, stamina is an issue right now for the young man. So he was out there 2 snaps, boom. 2-snap guy.
Stamina is an issue.
So shout out to the DC Stars.
Nice.
Shout out to the San Jose Hitman. Shout out to the Oakland Dynamites. Shout out to the Brown Bombers.
Nice.
Shout out to all the Pop Warner organizations out there. They really do a good job, though. I love it. The parents, they put on the snack bar. They had the barbecue rolling out. Hey, there's some good things going on in Jefferson. So it will not be the last time I see the DC Stars play.
Very cool.
Pop Warner. There we go.
So I wanted to get into something. I know we want to talk 49ers.
And we'll get to the calls in a second, too.
We will. But there's just something that I noticed yesterday, and I think Mark Willard has been referencing this Mike Silver article in the Chronicle Sunday night.
By the way, Richmond Steelers, Darius Bright, they ain't messing with the Richmond Steelers. We'll see about that. Richmond Steelers.
I'm glad you squeezed that in.
Sorry.
So I read the article from Mike Silver regarding just the 49ers in the aftermath. This is in the locker room after the game on Sunday night.
Right.
And he spoke on the record and off the record to players and then off the record to some coaches as well. Now, I don't know how many people this is. I don't know if this is 1, 2, 3 people, 15, 25. I don't know. And I don't know how many people feel this way. I'm not here to adjudicate or calculate how many people in the locker room or on the staff right now are feeling one way or the other. I did find it interesting that I guess the players I expect, and I expect coaches to have differing opinions from the head coach, but in the aftermath of the kid going down in the locker room, for everybody to universally immediately pivot to we're a better team now with Jimmy Garoppolo, it's not that it's true. It might be true. It probably is true. But to say it so quickly in the locker room, I got a little worried. And where I'm going at with this is that part of why Kyle Shanahan got brought into the 49ers, if you can peel your head back and go back to where we were in 2016, 2017, when he got brought in, the number one reason that the 49er job was a complete disaster, it wasn't just on field. The front office, the coach, the coaching staff, there were leaks galore. There were people that were insubordinate to one another and backstabbing each other and leaking things to Jay Glazer, to Adam Schefter, you name it.
Which is why when Shanahan got hired, and they didn't leak the John Lynch information, because remember, John Lynch got hired as GM 2 weeks after Shanahan basically had the job as head coach of the 49ers. And one of the things was they didn't want, Shanahan and Lynch basically wanted to test York and company to see if they would leak any of the information. Because remember, it came out of nowhere on a Sunday night. Came out of nowhere. It's like, whoa, John Lynch, the GM, huh? And nobody had an inkling of it. But they basically said this when they got hired. Like, we wanted to see how they would react to it. Can they keep information close to the vest? That's been a staple for the Shanahan and Lynch era up until this point.
Absolutely. And it does feel like the first couple of years, everything was airtight. You know, it was really airtight, and I want to give them credit for this. Like, everything was on the inside of that organization. They would make a move. For example, the Jimmy Garoppolo trade in year one. Nobody saw that coming.
Nobody saw it coming.
All right? They made a lot of different shrewd moves that nobody saw coming.
Kind of like Jimmy Garoppolo sticking around and being a backup to start the season. They got Jimmy Garoppolo handed to them. Well, if we go back to 2017, just a little tidbit there. Belichick basically was like, I got to move. You guys want Jimmy?
Yeah, well, Lynch wanted Brady first.
Right.
Like,
he asked him, was like, yo, you want to trade Brady?
Belichick was like, no, I'll give you Jimmy G.
Right.
So I guess where I'm going at with this entire thing is that, again, it's not the end of the world. I just have a little red flag, a tiny little red flag that I'm sticking on this situation because it feels like there's been a lot of drip leaks all offseason, whether it's doubting Trey Lance, whether it's the Jimmy Garoppolo thing. It just feels like to me when I saw all the different offensive staff leaving, some leaving for a new job, some getting, fired basically. Rick Scangarello was fired, right? Straight up.
Fired.
They brought in a bunch of new people. The fact, whether it's a holdover or a new hire, the fact that a coach, and I'm going to go with Michael Silver's word here. People can disagree on.
Benjamin Albright's going to join us Friday.
Okay,
and he's going to disagree with the report. I can tell you that right now. I saw him on Twitter last night. If the report
is true, is what I'm saying. And I kind of believe it to be true. I just don't think that he's very look, whether I like Michael Silver or not, it's irrelevant. I believe that most of his reporting is credible. Okay?
And you know what? In one of the videos, I did see Silver walking off with Garoppolo. Cam Emmett had a video, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Silver walking out with Garoppolo. And he's kind of lingering around. And we all have inklings on who's talking and who's not talking.
But I expect people, because even in our profession or any profession,
there's a lot of gossip.
People talk like, that guy's not a good journeyman.
Right.
That guy's not a good lawyer. That guy's not a good police officer. Like, well, pick the profession that you're in, right? People have their own feelings and guys gossip. So that's neither here nor there. But the fact that even off the record, a coach immediately in that locker room would say something to Silver, I just have it red flagged. And then the other part of this is like, guys, can we let the dust settle before we take a celebration?
Now
that part, and I get it. It's a reality.
If it is a coach,
it's a reality. But man, it just felt like, can we have a little tact? I guess is the way that I'm going with that.
There was no tact
in terms of just a little bit of respect for the fallen guy that just went down.
I'm not going to lie to you. I've been watching a lot of Kyle Juszczyk interviews, and it rubs me the wrong way on how open he is about, oh man, having Jimmy and that was Niner football. When he said that, I was just like, damn, did you really have Trey's back? I know you're going out there playing hard, but did you really believe in Trey?
I would say this. For him specifically, let me try to, not to defend him, but let me explain maybe his point of view. If you're going to run pistol, I'm probably not going to be out there as a fullback very often.
So you're not happy. You're not playing.
But if you run a more traditional offense, I'm going to play more. Which it makes sense.
I don't know why Shanahan wasn't doing that. Why don't you run the traditional offense? Why don't you just run and say, hey, Trey, here's our offense.
Yeah.
I drafted you to learn this offense.
Yes.
I'm not adjusting like, oh, man, Trey can't do this, so I'm going to run pistol. I don't believe any of that stuff. I don't. but the leakage. And Silver's now had 2 stories. The ghosting story, and now this story right after the game. And how player and coaches, whoever the coach that said that, shame on them. And I would be irate if I was Shanahan.
Well, this is where I'm going. This isn't it. I don't want to go as far as say insubordination and the guy needs to. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a really bad look. And this is why. It's not the end of the world. They can still overcome all of these different things. But you have to admit, as a casual observer, even if you aren't a Niner fan, it is a bad look, and there's a lot of leaks.
Do you think Jed's leaking stuff again?
No, I don't think that's fair. And I'm not saying that you're accusing him.
No, I'm not accusing him. I'm not anything. But just Silver writing these columns. And Benjamin Bell, we're going to talk to him Friday.
Do they feel buttoned up, I guess, is the question.
It does not feel buttoned up. It feels like this whole, it feels like Trey was set up to where it was like, man, the weight of the world is on his shoulders. And think about just
it felt like a no-win situation now that we have a little bit of context.
Well, I said this going into Chicago. Chicago is a lose-lose situation. You win that game, well, it's just the Bears. You lose that game, Trey's not ready. Now it's time to play Garoppolo. That conversation started moments after their week 1 loss. Moments. People couldn't wait to text, type. It's Jimmy's team. Go play Jimmy. You're wasting the Super Bowl roster. And just think about the week that was for Trey Lance last week. The week that was. Ending with the strip club video.
From the summer.
From Mike Martz to Michael Lombardi to the Silver reports to the strip club video getting leaked, and then what happened on Sunday on the second possession of the game.
I would say that there's a lot that the Niners themselves can't control. Like, they can't control the content that Mike Martz is putting out. But you can control the message. Or Lombardi or any of those guys. But the fact that in the locker room, everybody's saying this stuff, even if it's true, I'm not saying it's wrong. People are entitled to have their opinions. There's times I haven't had faith in certain managers, right? I get that. But to say it that day in the locker room, to me, I just read a tiny little red flag. That's all I'm saying.
You go watch those pressers. Not Shanahan, but like the Juszczyk and the Jimmy. And there was a lot of jubilation because I get it. They won the football game. But I remember being in the locker room up in Toronto when Kevin Durant tore his Achilles.
And this is a finals game.
This is a finals game that they won.
That they won.
Yeah. And all they could think about was Kevin Durant, Steph, Livingston, Iguodala.
And everyone knew he was probably leaving.
Yeah. The mood was, they were all despondent.
Well, you have a fallen soldier.
It's cool, but our brother went down.
Exactly.
The mood, and they were somber. And I've been in a lot of other locker rooms where injuries happen and guys are just like Kyrie, for example. Finals game 1, 2015. His knees buckled. He does the interview in his locker, and I'm sitting there, I'm doing a video, and we leave, and the locker room's just like, Cleveland, they just lost a classic. Series is still on. They win game 2, but that locker room was like, we just lost our fallen soldier. We lost our point guard. And I didn't get that same sense with Trey. Now, I saw the mic'd up with Fred Warner. That was cool. Fred Warner Jr. said, hey, we got your back, 5. Yeah. We got your back, 100%.
I saw that too.
That was really cool.
But
for the most part, we watched those interviews and the presser, and I was just like, I get it, we won. But I couldn't get over the Trey injury. That stadium couldn't get over the Trey injury. There was not a lot of celebrating that win. And they beat the Seahawks for crying out loud. And we haven't even talked about that.
So let me ask you this. Is this just simply a byproduct of the gladiator sport of the NFL? Meaning, we're referencing basketball, and I don't think it's a like-for-like comp. That's what I want to be fair here, because basketball's so different. The team's so much smaller. You rely so much more on individual players. Is this just a byproduct of how physical and how dangerous the sport is, the NFL, where they're just wired completely different?
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of injuries that's happened. For example, perfect example, Derek Carr, Christmas Eve against the Colts.
Okay.
Raiders are rolling in what was that, Spinoni, 2016? 2016, my first year here at 95.7 again. Covered a lot of Raider games at that point. 2016, they beat the Colts. They rolled the Colts, Shasky. Roll them. Raiders are 1 win away from winning the division and having a bye week. They blew out the Colts. And you go in that locker room, and they were like, we lost our quarterback for the season. Nobody cared about the win. Kelechi Osemele damn near had tears coming out of his eyes. He had to go to the back room. Mac was gone. You know what I'm saying? Who else? Rodney Hudson. Couldn't even speak. That locker room was despondent. And that was coming off a big win, and they were 1 win away from winning the division and going to the playoffs.
Was Carr so much more established as the clear-cut guy and not having a guy behind him? Does that factor into it?
That's a good point.
Because I do think the nuance of where Trey is and having Jimmy behind him factors into all this.
That's why it's like that's why I was like, damn, you brought Jimmy back. This is weird, right?
Well, this is why I'm saying,
but that's a good point.
It's not the end of the world, Devontae. It's clearly something that, like, it may be nothing. It may be something. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I just found it to be odd.
Yeah, there's no doubt. That's a good point with Carr. He was there. Found it odd. He was riding with them. But I'm just trying to, like, think of big-time injuries where I've been in the locker room in the mood. Like Kevin Durant, like you said, they all knew he was leaving.
Everyone.
And they were still despondent.
And he was like, and of all the acquisitions in recent memories, the most mercenary acquisition that most people can cite.
Right. It's just something. I just thought it was a little too happiness in there from some of the players. And then the report comes out from Silver where guys are talking, like now guys are talking. So now if the season snowballs, how many more reports are going to come out?
Well, that's the thing I'm worried about. They have to win. No, but this goes back to the have to win. Like to tamp down all of this noise, you have to win. I'm just more worried about it. Just feels like a lot is getting out. And I remember that when it started to go bad for Harbaugh, it was drip, 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 and it became more toxic. And it wasn't anything until the end, and then you look back and you had more of the perspective, and you're like, wow, how did I not see this coming? Now, I'm not saying that we're there. We're nowhere near there. But if they start to have any hiccups, if Jimmy goes down, if they don't win, I worry about what might end up happening with this, just the whole organization. Well,